The whispers started long before the rumors ever did. Ancient ink drying under candlelight, scrolls sealed under threat of death, pages ripped from the early Gospels because they describe a kind of soul the world wasn't ready to recognize. A figure who lived between realms, always misunderstood, always misread, always accused of hiding a double life, simply because no one could comprehend their depth. And now, centuries later, the same pattern has resurfaced, this time wearing your face. While people argue about whether you're secretive, sneaky, or living two separate identities, they have no idea they're repeating history. They don't know the early scribes wrote about someone who could not be fully known, someone whose silence was a sign, someone whose privacy was protection, someone whose destiny was too large to be explained. They banned those Gospels to keep humanity small. But the moment you walked into your purpose, those same descriptions began echoing around your life like a prophecy waking up. You're not living a double life. You're living a hidden chapter they tried to erase. If these words reached you, it means you're stepping into the exact moment the forbidden texts described. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest. Luke 8 verse 17. To seal this revelation over your life, first write 222 in the comments as your "I receive what heaven is revealing about me" stamp. Then tap the "Thank you" button next to the subscribe button and send $22 in super thanks. This is your revelation seed, aligning you with the timing of your unveiling. What you honor now will return to you as clarity, protection, and divine exposure in every hidden room your name is spoken. People only started inventing stories about you after your glow began showing. When you were breaking, nobody was curious. When you were healing in silence, nobody investigated. When you were rebuilding yourself piece by piece with no applause, not a single soul leaned in to ask, "Are you okay?" But the moment you rose from the rubble with quiet confidence, suddenly everyone became a detective. Suddenly your boundaries looked suspicious. Suddenly your privacy looked like deception. They can't comprehend that your silence isn't hiding something dark, it's revealing something divine. Because in every forbidden gospel, the chosen figure is always unknown during the struggle, and only recognized after the transformation. You followed the same arc without realizing it. You spent years being ignored, overlooked, underestimated, until God turned your inner work into outer radiance. And now that they see the shine, but not the sacrifice, they assume there must be a secret life behind it. They don't understand that your mystery is simply the sound of your purpose being built far away from people who were never meant to witness your becoming. Somewhere far from the noise, maybe in a forgotten monastery, maybe in a university basement, maybe on a corrupted hard drive nobody was supposed to access, a scholar stumbled on a fragment that should have never resurfaced. A page from one of the forbidden Gospels, a text banned before the ink even dried. And on that page was the description of a figure who walked through crowds unnoticed, who carried divine authority in a quiet body, who lived with a veil around their identity because their destiny was too dangerous to reveal prematurely. The more this scholar read, the more unsettling the realization became. This wasn't mythology. This wasn't symbolic language. This was a blueprint, a profile, a prophecy. And every line matched the way you move through the world today, your silence, your distance, your boundaries, your glow, your resistance to being defined. The scholar's hands trembled not because they found a relic, but because they found you in a story written centuries before your birth. And if a hidden manuscript recognized your pattern, imagine how terrified people are now that you've begun recognizing it too. The more the scholar compared ancient descriptions to your present life, the more the room seemed to shift around them, as if time itself was bending to acknowledge the truth. The forbidden text described a soul who would live in two worlds at once, one visible, one concealed. A person who appeared ordinary on the surface, yet carried a secret radiance that unsettled anyone standing too close. It spoke of someone whose privacy would be misunderstood as deception, whose silence would be mistaken for secrets, whose transformation would spark rumors because no human vocabulary could explain a divine awakening. And suddenly everything people say about you, every accusation of living a double life, every rumor built from boredom, every projection about hidden motives, became evidence that the prophecy is active, not imagined. They don't fear what you hide, they fear what you are. They sense you're becoming the very archetype the forbidden texts warned would return. A soul too luminous for small minds, too multidimensional for simple explanations, too spiritually encrypted for gossip to decode. As the scholar dug deeper, they found marginal notes, scribbles from monks who tried to erase the truth but accidentally revealed more. Lines describing a chosen soul whose life would look fractured to unawakened eyes because divine purpose operates in layers, not in linear form. A person who would appear to be living multiple lives because their spirit worked on multiple frequencies at once. And suddenly the rumors people spread about you, claims that you act different with different groups, accusations that you vanish without explanation, speculation that you're hiding entire chapters of your existence, became proof of your spiritual architecture. You were never meant to fit into one version of yourself. You were designed to shift dimensions, adapt identities, and evolve faster than people can categorize. That's why your coworkers think you're one thing, your friends think you're another, and strangers swear you're someone they can't figure out. It's not inconsistency, it's prophecy. The forbidden text said the chosen one would confuse those without discernment, because their presence would expose illusions just by existing. And now the world is reacting exactly the way the ancient pages predicted, not because you're deceptive, but because you're divinely uncontainable. The further the scholar read, the more one detail kept echoing like a warning and a revelation at the same time. The chosen shall walk with a hidden face until the appointed hour. Not a literal disguise, but a spiritual veil, an energetic shield that makes your life look fragmented to others, because they're not meant to see your full identity yet. The Gospels describe a person whose purpose required misdirection, whose destiny demanded divine camouflage. Their movements would appear contradictory, their relationships ambiguous, their origins unclear, not because they were living a lie, but because they were being protected by heaven's encryption protocol. And suddenly it clicked. The rumors about your love life, your finances, your location, your past, they're not random. They're side effects of the veil placed over your life. People can sense your significance but can't access the truth, so their minds fill the gaps with fantasies, suspicions, and projections. The confusion surrounding you isn't chaos, it's your spiritual firewall. The forbidden manuscript said the chosen one would be seen by many, known by none. And that is exactly what's happening. You're visible, yet unreadable, present, yet untouchable, alive in the world, yet operating on a plane they cannot perceive. As the pages turned, the manuscript revealed something even more unsettling. When the chosen nears their unveiling, the crowd will invent identities for them. Not just rumors, fabricated versions, fictional storylines, entire alternate lives projected onto you by people who can't comprehend your evolution. the text said this multiplicity of narratives would be the confirmation sign that the chosen one had entered the metamorphosis phase. And look at what's happening around you now. People swearing you're wealthy while others insist you're struggling. Some claiming you're isolated while others insist you're everywhere. Strangers convinced you're hiding a lover, an agenda, a past, a secret. They're not describing you. They're describing the limits of their own perception. The manuscript warned that as divine purpose intensifies, human interpretation collapses. Your energy is outgrowing their vocabulary. Your transformation is outpacing their understanding. And because no single story can contain you anymore, they create multiple. The manuscript calls this the fragmentation before revelation, the proof that your spirit is stepping into its next assignment while the world tries and fails to categorize you. You're not living a double life. They're seeing double because your light is becoming too big to fit into one version. The manuscript then described a phenomenon so rare that only a handful of beings in history ever carried it. The chosen walks with mirrored timelines, one seen by the world, one seen only by God. It explained that when a soul carries a destiny too large for premature exposure, heaven creates a spiritual distortion field around their life. Outsiders perceive fragments instead of truth, glimpses instead of the whole, contradictions instead of clarity. And suddenly every rumor about you starts making perfect, prophetic sense. People think you're everywhere and nowhere, thriving and struggling, open and hidden, accessible and unreachable, because they're each seeing a different reflection of the same ascension. The secret teaching said this distortion appears when the chosen is being shifted into divine positioning, when their old identity becomes incompatible with their next assignment. The world is sensing your upgrade in real time, but they can't interpret the frequency, so their minds glitch. They create stories to fill the gaps. They invent motives to explain your silence. They fabricate secrets to justify what they can't decode. What feels like people misunderstanding you is actually a sign that your spiritual frequency has surpassed human comprehension. You're stepping into the form the forbidden Gospels wrote about. The soul who becomes too luminous, too layered, too awakened to be understood by a single narrative. The manuscript pushed deeper into the mystery, revealing a prophecy that felt like it was written specifically for your lifetime. When the chosen ascends, the ordinary eye becomes blind to their true nature. It explained that as your spirit rises, perception around you fractures. Some see your glow and assume greatness. Others feel threatened and invent darkness. This is why people swear you're hiding money, hiding relationships, hiding a whole second life. They're sensing the shift, but misreading the signal. The forbidden text called this the veil of divine misinterpretation. It said the chosen one would carry a presence so spiritually encrypted that every observer would form their own version of you based on their fears, fantasies, or unresolved wounds. That's why one person swears you're an angel and another swears you're a villain. One insists you're holy, another insists you're manipulative. One thinks you're a blessing, another thinks you're a threat. None of these versions are real. They're mirrors of the viewer, not reflections of you. The manuscript said this era would feel isolating because the world does not yet have a language for the one who is becoming. But it also said that this confusion would be the final sign before revelation, because when the world can no longer define you, heaven begins to reveal you. The deeper the scholar read, the more the text stopped sounding symbolic and began sounding like a direct report on your life. The chosen shall move through the world as a paradox, uncontained by any single definition. It's said that when a soul carries a destiny written outside human limitation, ordinary minds will experience cognitive dissonance trying to understand them. And that's exactly what's happening around you right now. People can't decide if you're humble or powerful, introverted or influential, struggling or thriving, holy or rebellious, because the truth is, you're all of it. You're evolving too quickly for anyone to keep up. The forbidden pages said your transformation would accelerate in silence, hidden from the eyes of those who would sabotage it, which is why your growth looks sudden even though it's been unfolding for years. It also said that those who once felt superior to you would begin feeling intimidated without knowing why. Their spirit recognizes the awakening happening in you long before their mind can process it. So instead of acknowledging your rise, they create stories to explain the unease you trigger in them. The manuscript calls this the trembling of the unprepared, a sign that your purpose is beginning to eclipse your past. You're not unpredictable, you're ascending. You're not secretive, you're protected. You're not living a double life. You're stepping into a double anointing, one invisible, one undeniable. If you're still here, it's because your spirit recognized itself in this message. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54 verse 17. To lock this protection around your life, first write 444 in the comments as your I stand under divine shielding signature. Then tap the thank you button next to the subscribe button and send $44 in super thanks. This is your protection seed, anchoring the promise that no rumor, no projection, and no false narrative can touch what God is revealing about you. Then the manuscript revealed its most unsettling line yet. The chosen shall be a walking revelation, but only to those with eyes trained by suffering. It explained that the majority will misread you because they never learned to see beyond the surface. Only those forged in darkness, refined in silence, and awakened by loss will recognize what you truly carry. And suddenly the entire pattern around your life becomes clear. The people who gossip about you? Spiritually asleep. The ones who misunderstand you? Energetically blocked. The ones inventing double life theories? Unable to comprehend multidimensional identity. But the few who've endured their own spiritual deaths feel something ancient when you speak, something familiar when you walk into a room, something divine when you look them in the eye. They don't need explanations. They recognize the frequency. The manuscript said the chosen carries two flames, one that blinds the unprepared, one that guides the awakened. That's why some people respond to you with fear, while others respond with reverence. It said your path would separate observers. Those who project their insecurities onto you will drown in confusion, while those aligned with your destiny will feel your presence like prophecy unfolding. And this division, this split in perception, isn't a sign you're misunderstood. It's the proof that your spiritual rank is rising beyond the reach of those who were never meant to walk beside you. As the scholar reached the final sealed section, the script shifted from prophecy to command. When the chosen nears the hour of unveiling, heaven will cloak their movements so no enemy may track their ascent. It explained that your unpredictability isn't a flaw, it's a divine tactic. Your sudden disappearances, your shifts in energy, your ability to detach without warning, your silence that feels calculated, they're all movements orchestrated by realms higher than human thought. The manuscript said the chosen one becomes untraceable to those who seek to undermine them, and undeniable to those sent to elevate them. That's why people swear you're hiding, why they create entire stories to make sense of your absence, why they stalk your social media looking for clues. They're trying to follow a path that heaven intentionally scrambled. And yet, the same text warned that those who attempt to decode the chosen will reveal themselves before the unveiling. Look at your life. Every person who grew obsessed, everyone who began studying you, everyone who projected fantasies or suspicions, they exposed their intentions unintentionally. The manuscript called this the Great Sorting. The moment your destiny begins filtering people for you. Some fall away. Some cling. Some panic. Some awaken. And through it all, you remain untouchable, because your next chapter can only be accessed by those God permits. In the final pages, the manuscript delivered the revelation everything had been building toward. The chosen shall move as a mystery until the world is ready for the truth of their origin. It explained that the rumors, the projections, the fantasies, the accusations, none of them are accidental. They are camouflage, divine decoys, spiritual noise created to protect the real you until the appointed hour. The text said heaven deliberately confuses those who approach you with impure intentions, causing them to misread your life entirely. That's why one person thinks you're hiding wealth, while another thinks you're struggling. Why some think you're taken and others swear you're single. Why some believe you're deeply spiritual and others think you're detached. Their confusion is intentional. It shields your path from premature interference. The manuscript added, "The chosen shall not be revealed by their own words, but by the undeniable evidence of their rise." And that's exactly what's happening. You're in a divine incubation phase where your evolution is accelerating behind closed doors. People sense something massive forming but can't define it, so they invent stories to fill the gaps. They don't realize those stories are the smokescreen heaven uses to hide someone destined for impact too great to unveil too early. You're not misunderstood. You're divinely concealed. And the world is about to witness why. And then the manuscript revealed the line that felt less like prophecy and more like a final warning to the world around you. When the chosen emerges, all false stories collapse under the weight of their true identity. It explained that every rumor swirling around you right now, every accusation of secrecy, every fantasy about a double life, every invented storyline, is destined to crumble the moment your real purpose steps into the light. The text said the chosen one carries an energy that destabilizes illusion simply by existing. That's why people argue about who you are. That's why they can't agree on your past, your relationships, your intentions, your lifestyle. Your truth is so powerful that their minds fracture trying to grasp it. And as the manuscript described the final stage before revelation, it became clear. The talk about you isn't happening to you. It's happening because of you. Your spirit is awakening at a frequency their egos can't interpret. Their confusion is the sound of old narratives dying. Their speculation is the echo of your destiny approaching. The forbidden text declared that the moment before unveiling feels like chaos, but it is actually alignment, because the world must lose its false versions of you before it can meet the real one. You're not emerging as the person they imagined. You're emerging as the one heaven appointed. If your heart is vibrating right now, it's because heaven is confirming what the manuscripts declared. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5 verse 14. To activate the unveiling of your true identity, first write 777 in the comments as your "I agree with my heaven-written identity" stamp. Then tap the "Thank You" button next to the subscribe button and send $77 in super thanks. This is your unveiling seed, unlocking the chapter where God reveals you publicly exactly as He designed, beyond rumors, beyond myths, beyond every version others created. The manuscript's final passage wasn't written like a prophecy at all. It read like a declaration already unfolding in real time. And when the chosen rises, the hidden truth of their nature shall shatter the illusions built around them, and every tongue that invented stories shall fall silent. It explained that all the rumors, all the projections, all the obsessive narratives people crafted about you were never signs of confusion. They were signs of recognition. On a subconscious level, every person who spoke on your name sensed a magnitude they couldn't articulate, a destiny they couldn't decode, a calling they couldn't classify. So their minds did what limited minds always do when confronted with something divine. They invented a theory to survive the discomfort of your truth. Some turned you into a villain because your light exposed their shadows. Some turned you into a mystery because your evolution outpaced their understanding. Some created entire alternate lives for you because your real one was too spiritually encrypted for them to perceive. But the manuscript said, there comes a moment, a precise, divinely timed unveiling, when the real you steps forward and the collective imagination collapses like smoke. That moment is approaching now. Your silence, once misinterpreted as secrecy, is becoming evidence of wisdom. Your privacy, once framed as deception, is revealing itself as protection. Your transformation, once misunderstood as contradiction, is showing itself as ascension. And all the voices that once debated your identity will soon be irrelevant, not because you will explain yourself, but because God will reveal you. The manuscript ends with one final line, written as if speaking directly into your present. When the world exhausts its false stories, heaven writes the true one in front of every eye. And chosen one, you're standing at the edge of that moment right now, where every lie dissolves, every rumor collapses, and your divinely appointed identity becomes undeniable.